Alright everybody, hi! Welcome back for another day of drawing with me, Veronika, Miss B, whatever you want to call me. We're going to be drawing our little friend, Mr. Giraffe, today. I feel like he kind of looks like Healthy Harold, but I can't also say that because of, I guess, copyright reasons. But it's a friendly, wrong side, a friendly little giraffe. So I guess we should just get straight into it. I'll just get myself together. We'll flick to the screen so you can see me and you can see the giraffe in my book. All right, really simple one today. Not like the other mandala one where we needed every single object out of our kitchen. Today, all you're gonna need is a piece of paper, Sharpie, a pencil, a rubber, and if you have a sharpener, it's always good to have on hand. I've just realized that I actually need a bigger Sharpie. I'll have to get that about halfway through. I'm just going to message my partner to bring it out. Please bring bigger Sharpie. Okay. So 2 size Sharpies if you do want to do kind of thicker lines, or like for example when we're filling in the eye part, it's a lot easier to fill in with a thicker Sharpie rather than this tiny little ballpoint Sharpie. I should stress that too, I guess. That's the kind of size you'll need to do this one. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So, let me bring up my instructions. We're going to start off by drawing the shape of his head and kind of some guidelines to put his facial features in. So I guess not really at the top of the page. You've got to leave room for his neck. So imagine his neck's kind of going to come down like this. And you want his head in the top, but enough room to draw his little antlers. You want to draw this kind of upside down fat egg shape. So if you feel more comfortable drawing it like an egg, then you can turn your book upside down. But remember, we are going to go back and we're going to trace all of this in the black pen, but we're just going to go through and do it all in pencil first. So you just want to do, so if I turn it this way, it looks like a fat egg, a swollen egg. Yeah, so that's really going to be the outline for his face. It could be a girl giraffe if you want to, like we're not gender stereotyping this poor giraffe. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw one line straight through the middle. One line, not exactly in the middle of the top, but kind of a little bit down from it. Around about there. And then we're going to draw one dead smack in the middle of the middle line and the bottom. Now don't do these lines very dark because they are only guidelines. Also, one straight down the middle. So it should look something like this. Beautiful. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the outline in for his neck. Okie dokie. We're going to bring it down here. So this line kind of comes on an angle and then straighter, and then it angles out fatter at the bottom. So you've got to imagine that as his neck goes down, it's skinny and then goes to be thicker at the bottom. If you want a really skinny neck giraffe, draw your neck really skinny. It's a stylistic thing. I drew one with a neck that I think was probably the size of a pencil a few weeks ago, and that looks really kind of stylistically cool. Abstract, if depends what you're going for. Cartoon, abstract, realistic. I'm just trying to keep this one quite cartoony. Beautiful. That's his neck. That's the next step. And then we're going to be going in and making some details for his face. So here's another small guideline, which is going to be the bottom of his top lip, just here. So it's not quite in the middle, it's just kind of in between the middle and the bottom. Now, we're going to be going in. The middle of this line here, make yourself a little divot, some sort. So I guess this is kind of like a funny looking M. You're going to start just below the line, bring it up above the line, and down to meet that center guide that you just put, and then up again, the same on the other side. Kind of looks like an M shape, but just, I guess, really abstract M. Jelly bean, imagine a jelly bean, but you're not drawing this bottom bit. So that will be the top of his nose. And then you're going to go and do a smaller one. So maybe put yourself a little guide dot just in the middle there. Not joining up with the original line that we drew, but just slightly to the right of that one, bringing it down and drawing his nostrils in. Same thing on the other side. we don't want it exactly meeting. If you're like me that you've just made a mistake, feel free to go and rub stuff out as you go and till you're happy with how it's looking. It looks pretty good to me. So you've drawn his nostrils and the top of his old little snoot. Next step, we are going to be drawing in his, I guess, I don't really know what you'd call this, kind of his mouth. You are looking at him front on, so you've got to like imagine that this part of his face is quite long. So I guess his muzzle, it's not really muzzle though. What do you call the snout of a giraffe? Someone send help. All right, so same kind of M shape, but we're going to start by bringing it out to, I guess, just here, the edges of your lines. Draw yourself 2 small guide dots. And from the edge of the top line, not the bottom line, draw a line out to those dots on both sides. Kind of looks like a moustache at the moment. Now, you're going to make this line just curved around here. Curved around up and down to join here. But exactly the same pretty much as this kind of line that we drew up here. Now repeating the same on the other side, curving it round, up and down to meet that top lip. Starting to look almost like a duck beak at the moment. That's kind of how we are imagining this. And then we're actually going to be going over this bottom of this circle that we created to make his bottom lip, that you will go in and go over that line a little bit later. So make that a bit darker so that you know to go over it later. And that's his nose and the bottom of his mouth completed. Next up, we are going to be drawing in his eyes. So, and his eye, it's more of his eyelids. So you kind of just want to go over just below the line here, a little bit darker over the lines you already made yourself. That's why guidelines are super helpful. And then we want to start from this top line. Actually, might make my top line a little bit lower. So that's the best thing about drawing in pencil first. You can always go back in and get rid of a guideline. So I brought my guidelines a little bit closer together. So we're going to go from the top guideline down on an angle and a little bit overlapping the outside edge here. Bringing it down and making him a bottom eyelid, as you can see there. See, it slightly goes over the line I made myself before. Starting at the line here, coming down, a little bit out and bringing it in just like that. Making him his eyelid. Same thing I said before, going in, making those lines nice and crisp so that you know where to trace over later on when you are filling it in with the black pen. Next up, we're going to come slightly above our guideline and draw a line that goes the opposite way. So we're going a curved line down this time to meet his eye on both sides. There we go. He looks a bit of a demented duck at the moment. It's actually quite terrifying. All right, the next step, we're going to be going to the top of his head and making his little horns, not really horns, kind of like almost, what are they called? Little flappy bits that come out of the top of the giraffe's head. Little antlers, but I don't know if a giraffe has antlers. Anyway, I'm going to have to look that up afterwards because it's going to kill me if I don't know. Make yourself some little guidelines of where you want them to go. Following up, a little bit curved here. Remember, you don't want his eyelids aren't perfectly like squared off. So a little bit curved, coming up to meet just there. Following the same on the other side, curved. There we go. Now flick these up at the end because we will come back soon and draw his little antlers in like that. Beautiful. Next thing we're going to do, now you have to rub this out once you're done, we're creating his top eyelid. So coming from matching up to lining up with the inside corner of his eye, drawing a line down that lines up to here. Now when you go back, you might want to rub it out now. Just like down here, how this inside of his face line starts inside from the eyelid, same thing up here. So as you can see, the eyelid actually sits a little bit out from the head itself. Same thing on the other side, starting in line with the corner of the eye, coming out like so. And I don't need to fix up this side because it already comes in from where the eyelid sits. So that's the top of his eyelids. We've just finished then. Next, we're going to do my favorite part, which is the ears. Now, I like to line the ears up pretty much so close to the corner of the page as possible. So I'm probably 4 mil or so out from the side of the page, put myself a little, that's a really big dot, a guide dot in line with the bottom of his, we're going to call them antlers. They're not really antlers, are they? Same thing on the other side. And we're going to be drawing a curved line down, very similar to the top of the eyelid, from this dot to just above where his eyelid sits, about here. So if you bring that curved line down like so, and the same with the other side, just above the eyelid, curved line over to the guide dot that you had. Now, the bottom part of the ear is going to be coming to about here, where the eyelid at the bottom is, but you're going to make it a rounded edge, bring it in like so, and around to meet that. I'm going to have to put my page down to do this one. So you kind of bring it in a little bit, so you've got the little cut out of his ear. Show you again on the other side. Curved top, bringing it in a little bit and around to meet the eyelid. Same thing I said yesterday with our mandala stream. Ears are kind of like eyebrows, sisters, not twins. So I kind of need to fix mine up a little bit. They don't need to be identical, but you know, they need to look somewhat similar. There's his ears. Now we're going to draw the inside part of his ear, starting from the very tip. Same thing, bringing it down an angle and meeting up with the bottom of the eyelid. So we don't want that line to be straight. We want it to kind of come over and then under. So it creates a little bit of depth with the ear. Like so. If you're like me and your giraffe's left ear is a lot smaller than its right, then that's fine. That's totally fine. You do you. Alright, next we are up to, let me see, the eyes. So we're going to completely ignore our guideline here because the eye does bulge out slightly from the head. So we're going to draw our line slightly out from that. So it sits slightly out from the line that we originally drew, creating his eyeballs. There we go. So he has some eyes now. I'm actually going to fix my top eye. Okie dokie. He has eyes. Yay! He looks very scary at the moment. Next up, we're going to be finishing off with the little danglies, little antlers. I don't know what to call them. So we're going to be bringing 2 lines down, like so, and a little bump in the middle to join them. Small bump in the middle, little antlers. Beautiful. Bump in the center and the antlers come up together. Now, these are guide circles, so this is the next step. You want to make this step really, really light. So if you just want to draw 2 kind of small circles, like so, this is going to be for the next step. Make it a lot easier to, I guess, make the hair at the top. The next step, we're going to be drawing the hair. So the best kind of trick with this, I think, if you're going right, you flick the strands out right. You don't want it to look like a star because it is hair. It wisps, it goes everywhere. They're all shapes and sizes. You're going right, go right. You're going left, go left. Kind of make this, you know, think that you draw a sun as a kid. You know, all the wispy bits would be all different shapes and sizes. But going the direction, I guess they'd kind of fall with gravity. Really doesn't matter if they're not perfect because we are going to go over later with the black pen and make that a little bit crisper. Okay. There's the hair. Next stage, we're going to be drawing the spots on his neck. So you can go ahead and kind of make your neck a little bit more predominant like me if you're happy with the shape of it. So pretty much the most important thing here is I like to start with just a bump straight under the chin. We're not drawing circles, we're drawing lines that are kind of, you know, patches. Think about patches. If you want that as like a guideline, I'm going to rub mine out. And the thing that makes the neck, I guess, look really good with this is making them fit into the previous one. So I leave about 1 centimeter in between, make myself a shape. But then the one on the right here is going to have to line up so there's a perfect amount in between each patch. So I've done, and then I can go free rein down here, okay? Everyone's will look different. Same thing. A couple of centimeters There we go. If we do another one, making sure it's lining up to the previous one we did. So everybody's shapes will look a little bit different, which is kind of nice. But not having any harsh edges. So that will bring you to there. So you've got the same kind of gap in between all of the patches that we've done on his neck. Beautiful. Next stage, we're going to give him a little bit of detail, as you can see around the top of the eyelids. He's got, I guess, a little bit of wrinkling because he's got a lot of skin around his eyelids and on his face. So from the top of the eyelid, you want to take a line and draw it straight down on an angle towards the face. And the same on the other side, but we're going to do 2 lines on the other side because you've got a more wrinkly eye there. Now, this next step, I think of it as kind of like mountains. So you're going to kind of ignore this line that you've just almost drawn. So I bring it up here, and then the next one I start a little bit lower. So as you can see, it's kind of like the eyelid situation again, where it starts from just below the one you did before. So I've done, how many on that side? 3. They're all going to look a little bit different. Art is not, you know, it's not going to be the same every time you do it. This one again, starting from inside. We'll just do 2 on that side. So there we go. Looks a bit rigid at the moment, but it'll look much better when we colour it in. I'm actually going to make mine a little bit longer so that lines up with the corner of his eye. Okay, that looks good to me. Next step, we're going to give him a little moustache, a little bit of fluff on the lip. So just a couple of strokes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Because he is a hairy animal, so you've got to make it obvious. Next stage, we're going to be drawing his nostrils in. So the way I kind of imagine this is like almost like a figure of 8, but the middle is a little bit thick. So kind of coming up to the top here, drawing yourself almost like a figure of 8 kind of there. But then once you colour that in, the middle is a little bit thicker. That makes sense. Almost like a peanut kind of shape. That's the way I'd kind of imagine it. Draw yourself a little peanut. There we go. There's his little nostrils. This one is super kid friendly, everyone. So if you really want to show your kids how to do this one, it's a really great one for kids. All right. Next, we're going to be drawing his. It's not irises, is it? His eyes in. His eyes. I can't remember the parts of the eye. How terrible is that? Okay, so you can make his eye quite, I guess, smooth if you would like it to be. But I kind of make it almost a hexagonal shape. So I start from the very corner just here, bringing it down a straight line to almost at the bottom. Same thing with the other side. But then I make it almost like a hexagonal shape at the bottom. You know, it's rigid, it's unusual. So kind of like that. And then the other side, some sort of similar. I started his eye out here with this one and brought it down an angle there. It's kind of, the eyes are probably the most important bit. You want to fiddle with it until you're happy with it. I'm pretty happy with those lines, if everyone can kind of see what I've done. There we go. And the next step, we're going to be drawing in the glints of reflection. So this is important. On the left-hand side of his face, you want to put them in the left-hand side of the eye. So same thing again. You can draw like perfect circles if that's the type of style you're going for, but I like to make it, you know, quadrilateral kind of shape where it's got edges. One at the top, one at the bottom. Now we move to the other side, and that goes on the right hand side of the right eye. So what makes him look like he's looking in the same direction. So there we go, he looks very scary at the moment. Might fix my little glint on the eye. We're going to be going back and colouring the inside of this eye in black. So, I think it is iris, and that's pupil. Just depends. He doesn't really have an iris because he's got coloured eyes. So we're going to be colouring those bits in black. So don't stress if you're not exactly happy with those little glints of reflection. Next stage, we're going to give him some big flappy eyelashes. So he loves some eyelashes. Coming along the upper eyelid and at the very end, flicking out. Again, 2, 3, 4. If you follow along the eyelid, it's going to give you a nice clean stroke at the end. Flick it out. My one didn't go in the right direction. 1, 2, 3, 4 eyelashes. I want them to be slightly slurved. Oh my goodness. Slightly curved. There you go, give him some eyelashes. And when you go through with your dark pen, you can darken that top line up too. There we go. The next step is colouring in the blacks of those eyes there, making sure not to go on the glints of reflection because they're going to remain white. Beautiful. On the other side. There we go. He looks beautiful now. Look how nice he looks. Cool. All right. Now, before we do the patterning in the patches, we're going to go back and we're going to go through it all in the black pen. So I'm going to put some music on while I go through. Just feel free to kind of tackle whatever bits you see best fit. Leave these to when I get to them, and you can do them at the same time. You just really don't need to go over that first circle. You want to go over just the hairs first. Actually, we might start with just the hairs first to make it really easy. So you're going to go in and go over the hairs. This one you want to be a little bit neater than the original pencil outline. That gives you an idea of what it will look like. None of my lines are the same. So then when you come back underneath and you do those little antlers, they're underneath the hair. Same thing on the other side. Nothing fancy. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to leave everybody, put some music on, and we are going to go back and do everything in black. Thicker bits like in the eye or the snout, I guess, you can do in a thicker pen, which I've got to actually get my thicker pen. So also, this is an opportunity to kind of, if you're not really happy with some of the lines that you've done, you can go back and you can, really kind of pinpoint the areas that you want to be neater in that kind of sense. So, for example, I wanted to bring my nose here to a bit more of a point, so I can make it to a point when I go back in with the black pen. Also, if you want to leave it in pencil, that's totally fine too. Just rub out all those guidelines. You believe the things that I do, and we'll see it through. Life can be short or long. Love can be right or wrong. And if I chose the one I'd like to help me through,
secrets for us to keep. And if I chose the one I'd like to.
And like I said before too, you want to make that kind of top lash line a little bit thicker than the bottom, because obviously it's got eyelashes on it and it's going to look really effective if you make the top lash line a little bit thicker than the bottom line.
You only know what I want you to. I know everything you don't want me to. Your mouth is poison. Your mouth is a wine.
If you're like me and you feel like it's easy to draw a straight line, if you turn the page and kind of pull it towards you, feel free to do that too.
Dreams are the same as mine. I don't love you, but I always will. Oh, I don't love you, but I always will. I don't love you, but I always will. I always will. I wish you'd hold me when I turn my back. The less I give, the more I get back. Ooh, your hands can heal, your hands can bruise. I don't have a choice, but I still choose you. Oh, I don't love you, but I always will. Oh, I don't love you, but I always will. I don't love you, but I always will. Oh, I don't love you, but I always will.
As you can see, if you color in the irises, it really kind of comes together. Okay, so I've finished tracing him. He looks quite beautiful. A massive tip here is you really don't want to go and rub out all of your pencil lines yet, just because it can smudge. It is still a little bit wet. But yeah, I guess we're going to be going in with the pattern now. How long is this going on? We're going to go in with the pattern and the shading in the ears. I guess we'll start with the shading in the ears. So pretty much you want to start from the top part of the ear here and bringing it down almost to the bottom. So I guess I'm going to put my last line in. And the tip is always having it straight when it's pulled towards you. So I like to turn the page so that when you get down to here, your line isn't going directly towards his face. These lines are also going to go, short, long, shorter, longer, shorter, even shorter again, so it's kind of, you know, it's not the same every time. It's random, like something like that. Turning the page as you go and bringing it all the way down to match that first guideline that you had. So something like this. Then you can go ahead and you can start on the other side, working from a little bit in from same thing, giving yourself a guideline and a guideline up the top, and just going for it. Small, big, medium, small. You know, you really just want it random. You don't want it to follow a pattern on this one. And this gives him a bit of shading in the bottom of his ear. If you're like me and you've accidentally gone over the bottom part of his ear, just make that bottom line a bit thicker. Go over any mistakes that you've made. It's always able to fix it. Meeting up with the top. But if you're going to make it thicker on one side, obviously you want to make it a little bit thicker so it is symmetrical on the other side of the page. Meeting up with the other side, just like so. There we go. So the next thing is an exciting thing. I haven't gone in with my thicker pen because honestly I couldn't find it. You're going to be putting the pattern in here, and I should give you, I guess, a closer look at what that looks like. Let's make it a bit bigger. So you can probably see that a bit better now. I guess you're kind of going to be drawing lines. Let's start with the smaller one. So if you draw 4 lines diagonally towards you, you don't want to meet this line doing exactly the same thing. So you kind of want to meet it going, I guess, the opposite way. And then maybe start with this side and go as well. The trick with this is when you bump into the last one, you don't want it to be going the same way at any point. I never really draw more than 4 or 5 lines. You can go straight up and down, and then I guess I can go across as well. There we go. So your options are, and I might draw them over here, you can go horizontally this way, diagonally this way, diagonally this way, horizontally across, or vertically up and down. They're your options. You never want to make the same one with the other one. And if you find that you really want to go horizontal, start working from an opposite corner. So I'll give you another example on this one. So this one I'm going to start off in this corner. I'm going to bring them diagonally down to the left. And I really want to go horizontally across here, but I can't because my lines will be too long. So we'll start in this corner. And then maybe I might be able to get up to horizontal by now, and then I can go horizontal. Because you never really want them to be more than maybe 1.5 centimeters long. So for example, now I can't really do one because my lines will be too long. So I'll start again at the bottom until they meet up again with each other. Bring these ones across. It's a lot easier to work if you've made your patches quite small. Yeah, I guess this one's kind of just a have fun one. As you can see, I've kind of gone the same way here, but it's broken it up with that horizontal line. So I'm going to bring that horizontal line back in again here. Yeah, I'm going to turn the music up and you can just kind of go like that. Remember, these are your 4 options: diagonally to the left, diagonally to the right, horizontally, and vertically.
Look up here, I'm in heaven. got scars that can't be seen. I've got drama that can't be stolen. Everybody knows me now.
Just to give you an example, that is one of them is completed. Feel free to go ahead and finish the rest of them.
Look up here, man, I'm in danger. I've got nothing left to lose. I'm so high it makes my brain whirl. Drop my cell phone down below. Ain't that just like me? By the time I got to New York, I was living like a king. Then I used up all my money. I was looking for your ass. This way or no way. You know I'll be free. Just like that bluebird. Now ain't that just like me? Oh, I'll be free. Just like that bluebird. Oh, I'll be free. Ain't that just like me?
I guess that's another thing you can do as well, is you can start going around the edges of your patches to make them a little bit more emphasized if you've already done those cross-hatching techniques. I don't know why my camera isn't grabbing focus.
Friday night, I'm going nowhere. All the lights are changing, green to red. Turning over TV stations, situations running through my head. Looking back through time, you know it's clear that I've been blind, I've been a fool. To open up my heart to all the jealousy, that bitterness, that ridicule. Saturday, I'm running wild and all the lights are changing.
I just realised I moved my whole computer screen. It's a bit easier to see me.
Moving through the crowds, I'm pushing. Chemicals are rushing in my bloodstream. Only wish that you were here. You know I'm seeing it so clear. I've been afraid to show you how I really feel. Admit to some of those bad mistakes I've made. And if you want it, come and get it. Crying out loud. The love that I was giving you was never in doubt. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, and fail it now.
Alright, so I've finished my cross-hatching. I'm just going to go over and highlight any lines that I think need to be a little bit thicker, double up on them, and then pretty much we'll be done.
Babylon, Babylon. Sunday, all the lights in London, shining sky is fading, red to blue. Kicking through the autumn leaves and wondering where it is you might be going to.
So really here I'm just going around, I guess, the very outline of everything. So I'm going around the patches, around the outline of the neck.
Climbing on the stair, I turn around to see you smiling there in front of me. And if you want it, come and get it. Crying out loud. The love that I was giving you was never in doubt. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, and fail it now. Let go of your heart.
I'm also going to go around the outline of his face, but not necessarily his features, just to give him a little bit more definition, stand out a little bit more from that white page. And over his outline of his ears too, but any of the kind of shading or textural things we've added, you don't really need to go over. So you don't need to go over, for example, his moustache. But it's probably a great idea to go over his duck beak. But that's it. That pretty much brings us to the end. You can feel free, or you probably haven't drawn these guidelines. I'll just rub out my guidelines on the right here. I wouldn't really rub out as many guidelines. You can rub out the guidelines that don't have anything, like you can rub out the entire pencil behind everything, but just to give you an idea of what it is going to look like, you can rub out those original guidelines we used for the side of his face. But just, yeah, don't go over and rub out all of your lines just yet, because just in case it might smudge. I don't know what your pens are like. My pens dry pretty fast, but just, yeah, it's a quick way to take a good drawing and ruin it. You should be fine to rub out around the eyes, unless you went over them just then. Mine's looking like it's pretty dry, so I can rub out up here. These would definitely be dry up here. And then the last thing, don't forget to sign your beautiful artwork. You can date it if you want. And that's it. There's our little giraffe. Beautiful. I'm happier with the second one than I was with the first. But that's it. So thank you, everyone, for stopping by and doing our beautiful little giraffe drawing. We'll be back with another art lesson again very soon.